Starting a retic business for $100,000. I'm going to reiterate, this is if you're literally starting a business, one, because you like snakes, two, because you're really trying to make money. You want to do this, you want to enjoy the animals, but you're also trying to bring in money. So I'm not talking about being passionate or all the other things that all these people talk about behind the scenes. They're just giant dicks and just really chasing money and will dump stuff and all that stuff. Anyways, whatever. So starting a retic business with 100K, website like the 50K situation, drop to $2,500. I mean, you don't even need to spend that much, but I would, if you're gonna, you can get a pretty nice website for $2,500. Camera equipment. Once again, you're gonna have to be on social media. You're gonna have to make content. You're gonna have to be on YouTube. That's one of the things that all of us old heads struggle with, is the fact that the reptile industry is online. That's where it's at. That's where it exists. And if you're younger, you probably understand that. Um, so yeah, camera equipment, 5K. You might need two cameras. You're gonna need more lighting. You might need a gimbal. The DJI RS Pro 4 is out. I have the RS Pro 3. You can probably get it pretty cheap. It's an awesome gimbal. It's compatible with the Shark slider. Like there's you're gonna need stuff if you want to make content. You don't need a Shark slider, but a gimbal is convenient. I can tell you that. So like, right there's a G. Or well, I don't know. You probably get the RS3 Pro for probably pretty cheap right now, probably 700, $800. Computer, probably gonna have to upgrade that a little bit. Get a really nice computer, CPU, GPU for editing your 4K video. 3,500. Just get the studio version of DaVinci. It's a one-time purchase for $300. You're probably going to need a decent photo editor. It's probably time to start paying now. That's Capture One. It's 300. I use Capture One because it's the Fuji files just work better than it does in Lightroom. For some reason there's some artifacting, and I think it's Lightroom. So I use Capture One for that. Here's the other thing that's going to suck. I suggest you start a podcast. Talk to other people, bring people on, get a community going. So you're like, I have Riverside, which I need to actually start. If anybody wants to do a podcast, hit me up. We'll do a podcast because I need to start using it because I pay for it. $300 a year. A business phone, right there's $1,000. You need a business phone. I just got one after all these years, and I need to switch it over. So yeah, business phone. So all of that crap that you need, and we're not even in the snakes yet, is $12,900. Now you need a couple freezers. There's $1,000. You have all these snakes, you better have a generator. If you don't already have one, good generator. There's 2K. Miscellaneous, throw another 2K on that. So now we're up to 17,000. So all that crap, we haven't even got to the snakes yet. We're at 17,900. So I mean, this stuff is expensive. It's not cheap. A lot of times people take that have 100K, they usually go out and buy the most expensive stuff. I understand why they do that, but at the same time, this is more set up for a long-term type situation, and you're going to get a lot more for your 100K than a handful of snakes. So, all right. So, 10 4-foot cages, that's about 3,500. 26 footers, you could probably get a good deal around, probably get those for 12,000, maybe a little less. You need at least four of the Herbstat 4s. Those are what, 400 a piece. So yeah, there's another 12. 4 Herbstat 6s. Those are 500 a piece. Might be more, right now, hair more. So there's another 2,000 there. You're probably gonna need 10 racks. They got some decent racks at Reptile Basics that have interchangeable tubs. Really nice. So 10 racks plus tubs, that's pushing 5,000. So now on the, and this is just low end estimates. So now we're at 39,800. So we haven't got the snakes yet. But I mean, yeah, you're looking at like 40K. If you shop around, and really look and wait for deals, you can get all this crap for under $40,000. So that's guaranteed. But it might take a little bit, but okay. So that puts you around just over a hair over 60,000 to get into snakes. And here's where I recommend you take 10,000 of that 60,000 and get some localities. You need your super dwarfs. You need your medium-sized localities, at least 1.1 superdwarfs. But I recommend at least a 1.1 superdwarf, if not a 2.2 superdwarf, and then 2 more localities. Whatever you're into, you know what I'm going to tell you to get, but at least 2. So, whatever 2 you think is going to work better long term for adding color and pattern, whatever colors you're into, whatever pattern you're into, that's what you need to buy. So there's 10K off the top right there for your locality stuff. So now you're down to 50,000. I recommend you get a 4.12. So that's what, 16 plus 8, that's 24. And I recommend you get 30 cages too. So we're not even going to fill all the cages, because trust me, you run out of cage space very quickly as a retic breeder. That's one thing. You just run out of space. You got your locality stuff and you're into your breeders, and I'm recommending a 4.12. That'll give you a 8.16. And that's a little male heavy, but you got to remember that 4 of these males are pure localities. And it's important to have 4 locality males for outcrossing, polygenic selective breeding, polygenic enhancement. So it's just what it is. You're going to have to take up 4 cages with 4 normals, because you need them to make your stuff smaller and look better. But that gives you 16 females. So 4 pures, 12 morphs. The 4.6, with the money that's left over of the 50,000, that's just over 3,000 an animal. That gives you a budget of $3,125 an animal. I recommend you try to get 6 projects. So you don't have to spend $3,100 on each animal. You can get a couple cheap females, couple hets, double hets, whatever, that are cheap, like $1,000, $1,500. Get some higher end males, put more money into the males, less money into the females. But this is, however you want to do it, this is going to give you your best opportunity to diversify your collection in a way that you're producing a wide range of stuff that's in the affordable, medium, and high end. So yeah, I recommend 6 projects that can be intertwined with each other. So you can actually start moving forward. You can move out some of the lower end females, maybe some of the hets, double hets, and replacing them with double visuals, triple visuals, whatever. 6 projects, whatever those 6 projects are, whether they're Pied, Ocelot, Aztec, Hypo, whatever. Just make sure that they can at least be tied into each other. You don't need 6 separate projects that don't work with each other. You don't need a blonde, an amel, a Clark strain. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. And a ghost, like, you're in trouble. Like I always say, like, pick 1 albino, maybe 2. That's it. And just focus on it. Or if you want to do ghost, but try to have at least 3 projects intertwining and the other 3 projects intertwining. Ideally, you want to have them all 6 can go, no matter what you breed, you're making something worth making. I highly recommend that. I really like it. Mistakes that I made years ago was I had all these projects. This was a long time ago, and they just couldn't be like put together, because it was like this AML GC project with this other, and then I had another GC Clark strain project, and it was like, so I have to have like double of everything. So I have to have these extra males, and they're just kind of taking up space, because every project has its own male. Basically, you absolutely do not want to get yourself into that position. I always have a ton of males because I'm always running, because I have a ton of pures. I have a bunch of locality stuff, so that's fine with me. It's like, whatever. I don't mind having 15 males. I don't give a shit, like, because of what I do. But if you're doing this, if you're investing $100,000, and I'm guessing you want to get your money back and some on top, don't have 6 projects that can't be intermixed with each other. You want to have 6 projects that, as they progress, they build into these projects that can be combined into each other. Like Aztec, so you got like an Aztec an Indo-Aztec project and an Indo-Anthrax project down the road, like they can all be mixed in. And on top of all this all still needs to be super dwarf shit. Unless you're buying an Aztec or something and breeding it into your pures, you still need to be shooting for that minimum 50% super dwarf. I'm not trying to shit on mainland. Just look at what the prices are doing. Everything in retics is coming down, but it will stabilize. It's just, where will it stabilize? And the mainland shit, it can't. I mean, it's super dwarf prices coming down is going to make mainland prices come down. I know everybody thinks I'm wrong about that, but I'm not. I'm 100% right, because a 50% super dwarf version of anything, it might not be as colorful, but it's still going to be smaller. And if it's in the affordable range, long term, it makes sense to get the snake. It isn't going to get gigantic and cost a ton of money to feed. You know, if there's a $500 difference between a mainland and the super dwarf version, it's a no-brainer. And if it gets to the point that it's only like 200 or 300, there's no reason to ever buy the mainland. If the tiger is 150 and the super dwarf tiger is 450, the amount of money you'll save in the first 2 to 3 years on food is ridiculous. I mean, and people are going to understand that. So yeah, like if you're getting anything mainland in this 4.12, just make sure it's something that is going to at least hold some value. And 2, you're immediately getting bred into super dwarf and or dwarfs. And 3, you're probably going to have to sell it after you breed it, because you're going to be creating stuff that's going to have be much more marketable because of a smaller size. And you have the dwarfs and super dwarfs to keep taking the size down while you keep putting color and pattern back in. So, you know, you're going from 50 to 75 to 87.5 to whatever the hell the next one is. I think it's like 93 or something. And that's the goal. That's the goal, to keep progressing forward. So you don't want to be going backwards and jumping in, unless if there's a new morph, some new morphs pop up in mainland, whatever, grab it. But just make sure that you have a clear path of, if you're getting into hypo, that hypo's going to something smaller. If you're getting into pecan, that pecan's going to something smaller. Just keep progressing that way. And make sure when you put together like 6 project ideas, and I don't want to tell you what those are because those are up to you, but long term, they need to not be something like, I want to make a long term, the ultimate goal of these 6 projects is to make a motley, golden child, anthrax, phantom, titanium. What else would be stupid to put in there? Pick whatever else is going to, because you're just getting a snake with nothing on it. As the 6 projects come together, they need to be coming together to make something better than you've made before. So you don't want to be going backwards on these projects either. You don't want to be losing color, losing pattern, losing contrast. You want to keep progressing, making them nicer and nicer and nicer, while adding the super dwarf blood to make them smaller and adding the medium-sized localities to make them look better. That's what I recommend for if you're actually going to spend $100,000. Go back a page, because I got so much crap here. Yeah, like if you're really getting into this as a business, the first thing you need to be looking at is websites, cameras and equipment, a computer, the software for editing video and photos, software for a podcast, because you need to get the YouTube up and running, and a business phone. That's step 1. It's not the snakes. If you're actually going to do this like a business, and there's you got to set up your sole proprietorship or your LLC or whatever, and that's a few $100. That's not expensive. Yeah, that's what you need to get ready. Make sure you have the money. If you got 100,000, start, write out the budget, and there's some wiggle room on some of this stuff. Figure out what you want to do, what kind of website, figure out the camera equipment you need, get the computer, get all that shit set up. You're not going to want to set the website up till you get your animals. But get all that rolling, get your freezers, get your generator, get your cages set up, all of that. All that shit needs done first before you get snakes, and then get your snakes. Don't get a few things, get some of your stuff, and then you can get a few more cages, get some, then get some more snakes and get a few. Once you write down what you want for your projects and you at least have the list of snakes you want, then set everything else up all at one time. Like, get all your cages at once, order them, get them done, get your rack set up, all of that shit. Then get your animals. I highly recommend you don't piece stuff together. Now, if you have to wait because the animal's not hatched out, or you're waiting for a good deal on some older ones, that's whatever. But at least know what your projects are, and then start at the beginning with camera equipment, computer, that crap, cages, get all that set up. Then just bring in the animals and start rolling. If you have your camera equipment, you can be documenting all this. You can be making content like, hey, this is what I'm working on. I'm starting this retic business. I'm, this week we're getting this done. This week we're getting, oh, well, the first round of animals are coming in this week. So you got all of that content, and let people follow you along on this journey of starting this business. And if you do that from the beginning, even as a new breeder, a lot of old breeders are going to have a hell of a time trying to compete with you, because one, you're going to be out there, which most of them aren't, because they just don't want to put the time in. And two, everyone's going to know what you're doing. They're going to be following your stuff. They're going to be interested in it. Let people come on and talk, do your podcast, stay consistent with content, just that's how Garrett managed to do what he did. The snakes were already here. We were all already doing all this stuff. It's called authority through consistency or something, where you're just constantly on social media, being a presence on there. And that's how, Garrett didn't do shit in retics, but he became the king of retics because he just was all over the internet 24/7. So if you want to be successful at this, especially being a new person out the gate, make content, make the content, and that'll sell your snakes. As long as they're pretty and affordable, they'll sell. But honestly, spending $40,000 on all the stuff you need and then $60,000 on the animals, I think that's a pretty good 40-60 split of you getting everything you need, not half-assing anything, just being completely covered with everything you need. And then, $60,000 worth of retics, if you buy the right stuff, you'll be fine. You'll be completely fine. So, just make sure you learn how to breed them, learn what to look for, and you should be able to move forward no problem. But I've seen a lot of people come in and drop a lot of money. And one of the big things, I think I mentioned this in the last video, is they drop 100K, but they don't have a lot of animals to show for it. And I'm one of the few people that's saying, hey, if you're dropping 100K, don't necessarily buy the most expensive stuff. Buy a little bit of expensive stuff, but buy the stuff that's also going to produce the animals that are in a price range that sell. Get your purples, get your indos, get whatever line of albino you want, whatever's pretty and you like, get that. So some of these, I'm saying 6 projects here. Well, like probably 2 of them should be rather low-end projects. They should be like purple suns, purple tigers, purple GCs, something like that. Something that if you're going to the snake show, if you're putting it up on Morph Market, it's $500 to $1,500. $500 to $1,500. That's, if you're new, people feel better spending money with new people if it's not too much, because they don't they don't know if you're lying about genetics or if you're ripping them off or anything. But there's a big difference between getting ripped off for $10,000 versus $500. So they're taking a chance on you, but it's a calculated risk because they're not dropping that much cash. So stay in that price range that people are still comfortable to spend with somebody who's new. But remember, if you're putting in the work on social media, you're all over the place, you're building a reputation, you're engaging in the community. And that's a big problem the retic community has right now. It doesn't have a community. Everybody's splintered, everybody's segregated. And that's one of the things I really want to see change with the new community, the new breeders. I want to see people getting along. I know that's hilarious coming from me, but I want to see people. I want to see more of a community, because like Garrett's community is kind of like fell apart, and it's only just like new people. The retic lounge had scooped up most of the people that kind of figured out Garrett. That's kind of fallen apart, and just like everybody's fragmented. And I worry that there's all these new breeders out there that are kind of looking for a community, and it's not there. So if you're a new breeder, start the community, start the podcast, start the content. And I mean, if you're coming in with 100,000, come in swinging, make sure you're active. And that's going to do more to sell your snakes than anything. Trust me on that. Just be active in the community. That's it. And that's how you spend $100,000 to start a retic business. I don't necessarily recommend you do it, but if I was to do it, this is actually how I do it. I would try to get a decent size collection right out the gate, more towards the low and middle end, with a handful of higher end things for pushing projects forward. But yeah, this is how I do it. I'd try to roll in with 24 animals, and that's plenty for breeding. And you got a lot more shots. You got a lot more opportunities to hit on females when you have 16 of them versus when you have only 3 or 4 or 5. So, but yeah, that's what I recommend. So go get that loan and we'll get you set up.